All right, so this video is on functions. Before we can talk about functions, though, we need to discuss relations. A relation is any time we pair an input with an output. So anytime there's an x and y value matched up, that's automatically a relation. A function is a special kind of relation where each input has only one output. So for instance, if I give you $2 and you give me a hot dog, and then I give you $2 and you give me a soda, that wouldn't be a function because $2 had two separate matching up with it. So that would not be a function. So for example, this first diagram is called a mapping diagram. And this shows us who x matches up with in the y column. So 1 matches up with 3, and 2 matches up with 4 and 5. So this would be considered a relation because x and y are matched up, but this is not a function because 2 has two different outputs associated with it. So because of this, it is not a function. This next example is a set of points. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. This is a relation because x and y are matched up, and it's a function. Because if you look at the inputs, 0, 2, and 5, they are all different, and they each have only one output. The vertical line test is a way for us to tell if a graph would be considered a function or not. If you can draw a vertical line and it crosses a graph in more than one place, then it's not a function. So for example, if I have a graph of a circle, if I were to draw a vertical line through this, it crosses the circle twice. That means that this input, let's say that the x value here is 2. 2 would have two different outputs associated with it. 2 would match up with two different points, so that would make it not a function. So if you can draw a vertical line and it touches more than once, it is not a function. So something like this if this were my function, if I draw a vertical line through it, it only crosses once, so this is a function. So when we write equations of functions, we have a new thing called function notation that we write it with. So in the past, if I had an equation, I would write y equals 3x plus 4. Now, we're going to be using function notation, which gives the function a name. So this says f of x. That's how we would read that. And so this tells us that our input is x and our output is f of x. Basically, y and f of x mean the same exact thing. It's just a new way of writing it. So the reason we have function notation is for problems like these. So I'm given that f of x equals 3x plus 4, and I'm asked to evaluate f of 10, meaning that 10 is my input. So I'm going to plug 10 in for x. So f of 10 is equal to 3. Instead of x, I'm going to replace x with 10 plus 4. So f of 10 equals 30 plus 4, which is 34. So this tells me when x is 10, f of x is 34. The function's 34. So it's like I could think of the point 10, 34 as being on the graph of this function. So the last new vocab words that we use with functions are domain and range. Domain is the set of all input values. So domain is associated with the x values, whereas range is the set of all output values. So it's associated with all the y values of the function. So if this is my function, 3, 7, 4, 8, 5, 9. First of all, this is a function because it relates x and y, and each input has one output. The domain of this function, the set of all x values, is 3, 4, and 5. The range of this function is 7, 8, and 9 because those are the y values of the function.